Hello, hello, good morning. How are you today? Oh, it is Wilderness Wednesday. Wilderness Wednesday. Where will you go into the wild today? So, the dragon theme and this whole unleashing the dragon within ties in so beautifully to our wild selves, right? I mean, there's a clear distinction between wild, dragon. Like they just go together, right? So today I would really love for you to find that connection, as I do every Wednesday, but more so today, especially if you're feeling this dragon energy of really stepping into the wild, stepping into that wild space within yourself and actually physically into nature. Now tonight, in the Unleash Your Dragon workshop, which if you're in the sisterhood, this is our gathering for the new moon, then really allowing yourself and allowing this time to contemplate healing. What is healing? What is the wild space within you that can use some healing? And if you're on the fence about whether to come tonight or whether to register for tonight's workshop, I would love for you to go within for just a moment. I would love for you to just see where inside of yourself is there this lack of passion. Good morning, Krista. Where is this sense of not knowing where to go, the sense of being lost? Like if you realize that animals in the wild never feel lost, they always know where they're going. It's like they have just an instinct. They follow their instincts. They don't wander around aimlessly. Even the birds in the sky do not just like have this dazed look of, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like they know exactly what they're doing. They know they have purpose, they have passion, they have direction. We were on our evening walk last night and my son goes, oh, wow. And I look over and he's watching the crows and they've like caught the wind stream and they were just like hovering. And even that, it was so purposeful. Like their purpose was to just be and to not have to move, right? They just wanted to catch that wind and float and fly. And it was, as he was looking at that, he goes, I wish I could fly. That looks so amazing. And I had just had a conversation the other morning with a mom who we were talking about her inner child was really telling her that she desired freedom. And for me, as I was looking at the crow do that, and then all of a sudden there was 3 hawks that were like doing that all together higher above the crow, I went, that is freedom. Being able to just fly without these like crazy thoughts keeping us stuck, right? Without feeling like we're lost and we have no purpose. And so often that is like the perpetuating cycle in our realm. And so nature is a surefire way to feel more grounded and in tune, but also connecting to that wild space within ourselves, really feeling like the wild women that we are. We all in this group know that we are different than the mainstream masses. And I think that's why, you clicked to join in this group. You knew that you were different. You think differently, you act differently, and if anything, you put out different intentions for your life than what everybody else kind of tells you what to do. So being as that's the case, there is this wild essence within us of being able to really check in with what does that mean? What action can I take? How can I pull my dragon from within outside of myself to really be empowered, whether I know exactly what goal I'm doing or whether I know exactly what direction I'm going, like, this is my life purpose and I've figured it all out. I don't think that's what getting to this dragon space is. Like, the dragon is so powerful, the dragon is so empowered and knows exactly who or what it is, he or she, right? And your dragon can be a male or a female. So know that we have both of those energies within us. And so if you resonate with a male dragon better or a female dragon, know that these are like, it's fine. And so really pulling out, imagine, what does your dragon look like? What does your dragon feel like? And then imagine literally stepping your body into this dragon. And we're going to do way more in depth of this tonight in an amazing visualization. Tonight is really going to be about using new tools, new techniques to pull ourselves into ourselves so that we can actually create freedom for ourselves. We can create the magical lives that we truly desire. And as we're really diving deep, oftentimes it can feel really scary to do any sort of healing work. And when I first discovered Waldorf education, which was the homeschooling method that I love, and I actually read the whole teacher training material and really dove into it. And it was all about having inner work. And inner work is simultaneous with shadow work or spiritual practice. And the inner work was all about really looking at our inner lives without judgment, without condemnation, but taking an honest look. And that is not a popular way of being in our culture. It is not a popular belief to say, look yourself at what you do all the time and really look, really take a good hard look and see what you're actually doing. Because a lot of times we can look at our kids, and I always love to listen to what my kids are saying because they don't have a lot of media influence. I know that it's almost all coming from myself. So when they say things and they might sound a little harsh or rude or whiny, I always kind of see that as myself. I go, wow, what a mirror. Look at the way that I'm speaking to them. And if your children are in school or if they watch certain shows, they're getting their impressions and the way that they act, the way that they speak from these influences. And so really kind of, you get a clear picture of what it is that they're picking up on. You get a clear idea. My kids are watching this show that I'm really not actually very happy that they're watching, but they love it. And it's called Sheriff Callie's Wild Wild West. And it's full of bandits. That's what my little list calls them, bandits. And the bandits, always play these tricks, and they both have chosen to be like the sheriffs. They really like that sheriff mentality. But at the same time, they have like this, I'm going to be a bandit, is what my little one says, and she's going to do something sneaky. And as I'm really paying attention to this, I'm seeing that there's always this duality, right? In this physical plane, there's this duality so that we can understand and know what good is, what bad is. Or at least, they call them bad guys. And I said, you know what, guys, I'm always doing commentary, which is why they hate me watching shows with them, because I'm always like, that's actually not accurate. If you were to go, and they're always like, Mom, can we just watch this show? But they were saying that these bandits were bad guys. And I said, no, they're not bad guys. They just do bad actions. Their behavior is bad, but them as a person is not bad. And they can have a choice of whether to do actions that hurt people or actions that help people. But they themselves are not bad just because you do things that are not what help other people. And they kind of looked at me. They were like, okay. But I realized that them watching this show was reinforcing an old limiting belief of our society, that when we do things that are wild, when we do things that are wild, when we do things out of intuition, when we do things that are not on the road that everybody else is going on, it is deemed bad, right? Or odd, or eccentric. But these are not qualities that are actually admired. So allowing ourselves to really look at the limiting beliefs, which is why I have a big problem with media in my own home, is the perpetuation of these limiting beliefs that get embedded in the minds of us. Until we get control of our thoughts, right? When we have control of our thoughts, we can watch and integrate and see things for what they are and say, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Did you see that whole limiting belief that they're trying to put out there? And this is how I can think about it, but I can take this information in for myself. And so it's the same thing. How do we really pull into the wildness of ourselves without feeling bad, without feeling like, oh, the wild child? That is not a good name. Like, that is not given to children as like the endeared one. You're not the wild child and this perfect little girl who listens and obeys. Those are not like synchronized. You cannot be the wild child and be the obedient, submissive, listening little girl. They just don't go together. So how do we stop thinking of ourselves as the bad child, as our inner child? How do we stop seeing ourselves as bad? And the only way that I know how to do this, and the only way that I know for sure will always work, is to step into the actual wild. Not into a tamed playground, not on a grassy field, but actually find wild. Everywhere in the world you can find wild, untouched space. Whether you're in New York, I've been to Central Park, and there are definitely wild places within Central Park. You know what I mean? So as you can go anywhere. Don't tell me that you don't have wild near you, because you have wild within 30 minutes of you, that you can go sometime this week, especially if you can make it today, and actually feel that wildness. The trees and the birds and the animals do not obey. They follow their instincts. And this is really where we need to get to in order to lead the lives that we truly desire. And that is why I would love for as many women as possible in this group to come to tonight's workshop, because this is really what we're going to be breaking through. We're going to be breaking this habit of always doing what we think is right. Because you know what? It's getting us in a lot of mess. We're running around in circles. We're expending all of our energy. And then we're getting frustrated at those that we really love and we created families with, And so there's so many complexities to this, but really I want us to just start thinking about the fact that opening up and healing ourselves, connecting with memories, feeling the feelings, doesn't have to be this scary, dark place. The wild can be, have you ever seen like vines, how they like wrap around and twirl around? If there's something that they can grab onto, they do. And this is the same thing that the wild within us is going to start doing. It's going to start growing. And whatever it can kind of hold on to, it's going to hold on to. And this wildness is going to start having an effect on us so that we can really start being free. Free of the mind crap that constantly chats at us. Free of this stomach aches. I mean, I all over my Facebook group, it's like, oh, I'm so stressed. I've got ulcers. I've got this thing. I've got that. And it's like, what are we doing to ourselves? We are coming so far away from who we are intuitively that we're actually hurting our bodies. We're actually physically damaging ourselves with our thoughts and the actions that we are doing that are not in integrity with what and who we truly are. So I'm going to share one last thing. As the past couple of weeks, I've been noticing how much I've compromised in my mothering. When my children were little and I first learned about Waldorf, they only wore all natural materials. I made all of their own woolly pants. I made them silk suits in the summertime. They could only have cotton or linen, and I would get all these clothes. We did storage units. We bought storage units, and and so I was able to get all of these like real materials and make all of their clothes. And as they got older, and as I started this business, I kind of let that slip. I let that go because I wanted to put more energy into my business. And I realized, I was looking back at as we were on our walk last night, I realized that they were both wearing polyester, like those like fleece pajamas. They were both wearing polyester pajamas. And while I was looking at this, I went, wow, they're both wearing these pajamas. They're not wearing wool anymore. My son actually wanted to wear his wool clothes last night, and they'd outgrown them. And so I was looking at this and went, wow, my priorities really shifted. And yet I look at the way that we're eating and what we're actually putting into our bodies. Oh my gosh, that is night and day compared to when they were wearing, well, we were surrounded by natural things. What we were consuming was still very processed, was still like mainly meat. And now it's completely 180. We're eating mostly vegetables with very little meat. And our diet is very clean now compared to what it used to be. And yet I see how much further it could grow. And so me saying this, sometimes we're on this pathway of like, this is the pathway that I have to go, when really what really matters is what, it's so much more important that we're ingesting the food that is healing for us. And yes, wearing and having ourselves surrounded in natural materials is great too. But it was almost switched in my brain. I didn't comprehend the importance of the food compared to what I was putting on them, if that makes sense. So while you might feel like you're giving up some aspects of yourself to become wild, you're going to gain so much more with health and vitality and passion to actually pursue your other ventures that you're passionate about as well. Or they might actually shift a little bit where you go, wow, I was putting so much importance on that instead of actually fueling myself or giving myself self-care or taking time to just be. So, Krista, there was a park on my morning run this week, and I looked across the street to find a little hidden path. I followed it, and it led to a beautiful little meditation spot in the wild. You can find it anywhere. Yes. And while you just like clicked something in my head, we can find the wild anywhere, even within ourselves, right? We can be amongst so many people. How many times have you been around so many people and yet still felt completely alone? I feel like that's the wild within us that can't connect because it's so wild and untamed that it's like it just needs its space, right? And no matter what is going on around us, it will always be this like, wow, I don't even feel like I'm in a crowd of people. And yet, when we really discover and connect within our wild space, no matter where we are, we will be able to connect. It's the unknowing wild part of ourselves that we kind of push people away, right? When we go, I'm different, I'm wild, I'm not the same as you, I'll never be understood, I'm the wild child. But as we start cultivating and really pulling that wild self out of ourselves, that is when we're going to create even more connection. We're going to create even more success in our lives. We're going to create even more abundance. Being who we authentically are will always create more of ourselves, our lives, our goals. Will always bring us more. Whether it feels like it in the physical sense, you'll feel it by being happier. You'll feel it by feeling more freedom. You'll feel it by literally feeling like you could spread your wings and fly. So thank you for being here with me, and I'm really looking forward to having you join in the workshop tonight, as it will be a really clear and concise way. There'll be live coaching. You'll get questions answered, your specific inner child work will get healed. So come and bring your wild self. Let's really dive into this. You're going to meet your dragon. You're going to create your queen self inside of your kingdom. We're going to really have a fun time of playing, which is how I like to do it. I love to do healing within the aspect of playing. There might be tears, there might be feeling, but we're going to play. Watch kids. Do they, they cry, they scream, they yell, they're happy. This is what playing is. Playing is not just like feeling nothing, right? Playing is like getting into the emotions of it and really feeling and expressing ourselves. So this is what I'm really looking forward to tonight. And I'm so excited to have you join in. If you haven't signed up and you're not in the sisterhood, if you're in the sisterhood, this is our gathering. If you haven't signed up yet, the link is in the post right below this. Click on the picture, unleash, it's magicalmothering.com, unleash the dragon within with little hashes in between them. So I'll see you guys tonight. And in the meantime, go out and take some pictures of yourself in the wild. Take some pictures of you and your kids in the wild. Get wild today. How wild can you get? Can you climb trees and play in the mud and enjoy this day? For this is the only day that you have, right? This is it. This is it. Live it. Enjoy it. I love you. Mwah! Have a wonderfully blessed day.